this is intense. Hey guys! Welcome! Holy cow, it's Friday. Can't believe it. This week has flown by. August 21st. Not only has this week flown by, this year has flown by, the summer has flown by. Lots of flying. I'm Brand BTC. Welcome to Weekly Bits. This is my co-host.
Hey, I'm Peter Chihuaga, managing editor at Bitcoin Magazine. As always, happy to be here with you, Brand.
Yeah.
Ready to talk about some Bitcoin stuff?
Can't wait. You know, I'm jealous that you get to say managing editor. I don't have that sort of clear. I'm just Brand BTC. So,
Yeah.
I am who I am. You guys know me now. I am who I am.
Oh,
Huh?
God.
That was last week.
Yeah.
So we got some news. It's been quite an interesting week. Got light on the number of topics, but we're going to dive deep on a few of these topics because they're really interesting. And kind of the first one that we want to bring up is this restaurant that's kind of made news in the Bitcoin space. You want to talk about it?
Yes, I am big into this story. It's super bullish and just fun and one of those kind of feel good. This is a reason I love to be in Bitcoin media. There's a restaurant owner in Ontario. He's got a string of Mediterranean restaurants up there. His name's Ali Hammam, and it's a family-owned business. He posted on Twitter that he is moving all of his cash reserves into Bitcoin. He tagged some prominent Bitcoiners, and the thread got some good attention and kind of hit our radar. So I slid into Ali's DMs, and it was just like kind of a pleasure to go back and forth with him because he's just like so bullish. So I think significant, yes, that this is like a medium-sized business. It's got like I said, it's a chain of maybe 3 or 4 restaurants. It's not a ton of capital moving into Bitcoin, but just cool that this guy's taken gone down the rabbit hole, taken the red pill, and is like putting his money where his mouth is and really like banking on Bitcoin here. Just a little more context to add, as a restaurant owner, he got hit kind of hard with the coronavirus pandemic and economic shutdowns. People weren't going to his restaurants. Employees were more incentivized to stay at home than to come into work because of government stimulus. He got some stimulus of cash reserves, and it kind of turned him off, I think, to just like the fiat economy. And, this is what Bitcoiners have been saying for a long time. We've also kind of been saying that, the recent economic stimulus is just kind of putting in stark relief all these advantages of Bitcoin. This guy's living proof. He's also really funny and like really good at marketing himself. He does like weird TikTok videos. He really likes shawarma. So we wrote about it over at bitcoinmagazine.com.
Check it out.
Yeah, check it out. It's in the Weekly Bits newsletter. Subscribe to that.
Click the button, subscribe. We don't have the button here, but maybe we could put it there.
It's so easy to find the button at this point.
Yeah,
Just
true.
Google it and you'll find it. So anyway, really shout out to Ali. Super fun to talk to, super bullish, and read the story for more, but he gets it, and it was really cool.
Hey, what did Ali wear to the beach?
I don't know. We didn't get into that.
An itsy bitsy tahini weenie yellow polka dot bikini.
Yeah, okay. Not sure where to take that one other than like that was...
Get it? Because like tahini is the restaurant and...
It rhymes with bikini.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, Anyway, so that was bullish. I feel like this is a big bullish week for Bitcoin, and I know you've been kind of digging into some market metrics that emphasize that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some... First off, Glassnode, really great metrics repository. I mean, they got all sorts of stuff that you can kind of look at in terms of on-chain data for Bitcoin. And there's been a few different things that we've been looking at the office as really interesting indicators of where this market might be heading. For one, which you can see right there, is the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges has actually been dropping significantly. It's interesting, all right? So if you don't have that Bitcoin on those exchanges, that means that people are not selling that Bitcoin on exchanges. And so you're seeing a bit of a relief in terms of the amount of supply pressure, downward pressure on the Bitcoin price. I think that's pretty apparent when you look at what Bitcoin's been doing. It's been going up. That's no coincidence. So interesting to see people pulling their Bitcoins off of exchanges, hodling, putting them in a safer place than the centralized custody solution. So that's really interesting. The next two kind of pieces of information that have been coming out is the number of wallets that actually hold, first off, more than 0.01 Bitcoins. It's at all-time highs. And then also the number of wallets holding more than 1 Bitcoin. Both of those stats are at all-time highs. So you're seeing people accumulating heavily. And so it's an interesting stat. It helps drive kind of the fundamentals of what Bitcoin's doing. People are taking Bitcoin off exchanges, holding them in wallets, and we have more wallets holding more Bitcoin than ever.
People be hodling.
Yeah.
I'm about that. But then I have two minds about it. I'm like, me personally, I'm a hodler and I respect the hodling game, and that's kind of the value prop that, me and my man Ali are kind of into with Bitcoin. But it's also a really powerful transaction tool. Bitcoin can be useful for payments. And so on the other hand, I'm like, feel bad that I just hoard it, keep it off exchanges. I don't think I'll be like that forever.
Well, hey man, it's the scarcest resource in the entire world, so no shame in hodling it. But what's interesting actually is while all of these metrics are trending, the actual financial metrics are a bit, topsy-turvy in the moment. You see the price is kind of fighting to find some new local high. I think they actually just came out with a report today that the futures volume, interest in puts or like shorting the market are actually increasing. So there's more of these institutional people who think, Bitcoin might be going down in the near future.
Right.
If you want my hot take,
I do.
I think they're all going to get wrecked. I think that we're in a new phase of Bitcoin where, it's the new market cycle. And everyone's looking at what happened last year or what happened, in the recent, 6 months as some sort of metric indicator as to what Bitcoin's going to do next. But Bitcoin's following a whole new path. You got to look way back to 2016 to even be able to somewhat equivocate it to what's going on right now. So in my opinion, everything may be saying like, ooh, this market might kind of take a little correction. I think that's exact. Bitcoin's got these short sellers right where he wants them,
Don't bet against Bitcoin.
Never bet against Bitcoin. So, that's kind of been the update of the market. It's moving sideways, but while everyone else is saying, we might be ready for a little dip, I'm saying, I don't know about that.
So what I really like about Weekly Bits, this show that we're doing right now, and I'm going to speak, I think, for many of our viewers, is that we've got a good mix, I think, of kind of like the human interest side of Bitcoin and the kind of metrics-based, like financial side of Bitcoin. I think what's really exciting about Bitcoin media, crypto media, is that it's like, yes, it's a financial tool. Yes, it's technical and programmatic, but it's like a cultural revolution too. And so I think, we're doing a good job covering both of those things. That's what I'm like really excited to be part of this show, is because, we've got a good balance there. And
yeah.
So I do want to kind of swing it back over to the human interest side to kind of close out the show if you're comfortable with that, Brand.
Totally. There's a great story that we put out on Bitcoin Magazine this week that I'm betting you're about to cover.
That's right. I don't know how you could have known that.
Psychic.
Prescient of you, but yes. The other story I want to mention here is the International Medical Corps has teamed up with two kind of blockchain Bitcoin focused companies. Those would be Blockchair, which is like a blockchain search engine, and the Giving Block, which is sort of a payment processing solution for charitable giving through Bitcoin. And they're teaming up to provide some relief for the city of Beirut. So I think probably a lot of us saw these basically viral explosions, viral in the sense that like they're astoundingly large explosions that kind of circulate around the web. And it shouldn't be a surprise that they cause lots of deaths, injuries, and displace a bunch of people from their home in a city that's obviously dealing with coronavirus like all other cities, and also going through some kind of fiat economic turmoil due to mismanagement from central banks, etc.
Yeah, if I could just add one more thing, chemical engineering background. So this kind of stuff really fascinates me.
Just a little humble drop.
Yeah, well, I throw it in whenever I can.
Former NASA astronaut.
Yeah, otherwise you can't really talk about chemical engineering in Bitcoin. But what was interesting is that one thing that most people haven't talked about with this too is this blast just blew through a city, right? And so that's a lot of buildings that got hit with a major shockwave. And yes, there were casualties, and those are awful. But on top of that, there was also multiple of these buildings that have just totally been they have to be condemned. They have to be totally torn down. And that's like economic activity and people working there and living there.
And you really do need a formal background in chemical engineering to know that an explosion would hurt people and buildings. So it is good to kind of have that expertise as part of this discussion.
And if you want to know more about the explosion, it's called a BLEVE, a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. So there's your chemical engineering background. They basically had, I think it was ammonium nitrate or something in a big vat tank that, once it got too hot from all the fire that was going on around it, it exploded. I mean, it just had to. There was nowhere for the pressure wave to go. And so that's what you saw. That big wave you saw expanding out from it, that's a pressure wave.
I think save a lot of that for weekly explosion takes, which is our show coming up after this. I did want to just emphasize that, Bitcoin for Beirut is kind of the social media campaign to solicit people to donate Bitcoin and maybe other shit coins. I'm sure they'll take whatever. A goal of $1 million to kind of help, with aid in Beirut. And again, it's like, I would rather give you cash. I don't know. Like the thing I'm trying to get rid of would be my dirty fiat. And, but I think on the other hand, it's like,
what's more valuable to receive, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure people in Beirut, I think it's going to be spent immediately for the most part for like relief efforts. But if I was in Lebanon, essentially, I feel like I would rather receive some Bitcoin than some, cash that has to be converted to my local fiat currency. Who knows? But check that story out on bitcoinmagazine.com as well. And if you've got some extra BTC or interested in donating, this seems like a great cause to do that.
Definitely help Beirut. Lebanon's had a heck of a year. I mean,
yes.
I remember us reporting earlier in the year about their currency issues too. So it's just do what you can to help. They definitely could use it right now. So those are the main stories we wanted to cover today. It's been a wild week. We have a fun weekend coming up. It's one of the last weekends of summer. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. Does Labor Day officially mark the end?
So I think technically September 21st, but that's less, that's a month away.
Yeah.
Labor Day is usually the last month of pool and, this is the real summer feel.
Right.
So we're coming up on it. I can't believe it. It's really flown by. So in that spirit, maybe go to the pool this weekend. Maybe try and catch some rays. Get some vitamin D. Feel good. Have a great weekend, guys. I'm Bram BTC.
Peter Chihuahua.